Okay, hello. I'm Melissa Sondersurf. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. The topic is learning about LinkedIn, which is a professional networking platform. It is designed to help you connect with your coworkers, alumni, industry leaders, recruiters, and employers. Unlike social media platforms that focus on personal interactions, and we're thinking here about Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn is specifically tailored for your career or for business and learn about your industry. What you are doing on LinkedIn is building social capital. And social capital is the value we gain from relationships with one another and developing our network. It's what enables us to access knowledge, advice, opportunities, and even collaborations that we may not reach on our own. Today, who you know can be as important as what you're learning in the classroom, and maintaining a strong network is really essential. That's why I'm thrilled to have with us today Jason Barquero. Let me give you his credentials next, has associate's degree from Cerritos College, a bachelor's degree from Cal State Fullerton, a master's degree from Cal State Long Beach, and he's currently working on his EDD, which is a doctorate in education from Northeastern University. He's El Camino College's Dean of Workforce Programs and Career Pathways. And on the side, he's an announcer for a team that's affiliated with the LA Lakers, which is pretty cool. So please join me in welcoming Jason Barquero.
Thanks, Melissa. Hi, everybody. Jason Barquero, thank you for the wonderful introduction. And as you heard, I am the new Dean of Workforce Programs and Career Pathways here at El Camino College. If you haven't seen me around, it could be because I just started in July, so I'm about 4 months in here. But I have about 19 years of experience in higher education now, mostly working in career services and career development, working with undergraduate students like many of you, and graduate students as well that were pursuing their master's degrees and beyond on various topics having to do with career development. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited. I enjoy talking about building social capital. I enjoy talking about how you can connect with others. And so I know there will be an opportunity to answer questions at any point in time. I think we're doing them at the end, but at any time, as I always tell my students, as questions pop up in your head, go ahead and throw them in the chat, put them on there. I may not get to them right away. It's not because I'm ignoring them. I'm just going through the presentation, but I know that Professor here is going to help me out with sorting those through before we end our workshop this afternoon. So please put them in there. That way we don't miss them. And so you don't forget to ask as we're going through these slides. I know you'll have ideas. And so I always tell students, I don't know where, if you have on your computer, if you can do that, or on your phone. Some of you may already have a LinkedIn. If you do, feel free to pull it up on another device in the meantime, because something that helps walking through as I'm walking through these things for you to see and visualize. If you don't, you could go to linkedin.com and you can try to pull up, or you can go and pull up someone else's account as well if it helps. But there's really two parts of this presentation. So that we're calling LinkedIn 101. The first part, I'm going to go through some of the basics of what is LinkedIn. I know that many of you may have heard of it, but some of you may never have used it or haven't built out a profile. So I'm going to start from the very beginning of building out a profile, what it is, why you should have one, what you want to see on your profile. I'll show you some examples of what that looks like. I don't have a ton of slides. I'm going to go through these pretty quick, because then the second part of this is I want to close down my presentation and I want to pull up LinkedIn and go live on LinkedIn and pull up couple of different profiles so I can walk you through that. I feel like that's more effective, and we can take a look at my profile is okay, but I pulled out another former colleagues of mine who I really like, and I'll show you that as an example. So I'm kind of someone that wants to get in and really show you how this works. So with that, let's get started. So we're going to cover 4 things today. We're going to do a quick introduction of LinkedIn. We're going to talk about creating an effective LinkedIn profile, what actually goes on your profile. And the third thing we're going to do is talk about building your network. And that's when we're going to go ahead and pull up a LinkedIn profile and talk about how this can be used, as Professor said, to build your own social capital to other students here at El Camino, other colleges you may be a part of, or other networks or other groups that you may be a part of in your community. And then finally, we'll talk about the job search and career exploration portion of all of this. So here we go. So what is LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is definitely a very powerful tool. The one thing I tell students, and there's a definition of what LinkedIn there on your screen is, but when you think of social media, most people think of social media in terms of Instagram. They think of Facebook, if you still have your Facebook up. They think of all the different platforms, Twitter, now it's X. If you think of using, I'm drawing a blank, but using your other social media platforms, that's what folks, TikTok, that's what I wanted to say. That's what you think about when you hear the term and the phrase LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is actually the oldest of all of those tools that I just talked about, to be honest with you. It's been around for about 20 plus years or so. And so LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. It's a professional networking platform. So think of social media, but on a more professional lens, right? It's used really to show the world who you are professionally, what you want to be professionally, what you're working towards professionally, whether if you're a student, whether you're someone that's already 20, 30 years into your profession. It's really a way to boost your career prospects, as it says there. And as a college student, it's great to start building it now. If you don't have one, it's a great place to start to use it and to build one out. And we'll talk about why. So why LinkedIn? A brief introduction. Like I said, LinkedIn is a professional networking platform that serves as a tool for college students. You want to use LinkedIn for professional networking. Why? Well, let's call it what it is. Many of you may not be on campus full time, right? I think we've learned, especially at community colleges post the pandemic, that many of us may be taking either a modified version of a schedule where you may be on campus full time. You may be taking a couple of classes online. You may be a fully online student. You may be working from home, and maybe your world is more virtual than others. So you don't get the opportunity to perhaps get out in person as maybe you once were, or maybe that's just not something that is maybe enticing for you. This is a wonderful online tool to build your network and to go networking and meeting people that you're interested in learning more about their careers to help advance your own career right there from your desktop or from your phone. It's a wonderful job search tool as well. If you've never used LinkedIn to look for jobs, it has a great function, just like Indeed or many of the other websites that folks use to look for jobs. You could use it to search for jobs, internships, volunteer opportunities, anything you're looking to build up your resume. It's a great place to showcase your skills and experience. I can give you an example. If you're a creative, if you're someone that has graphic designs, if you're someone that designs websites, if you're someone that has any kind of technical skills or visual skills that you want to show the world, you could use LinkedIn to put links of your work and to show samples of your work to everyone else. So it's not just a resume with here's where I worked and this is what I've done, but it's also a place for you to show folks, here's my actual work, and use it as a portfolio of your own work. For learning and development, a lot of folks use it to go on there and really use it as a news source. I enjoy being on LinkedIn when I can, and if I turn it on, maybe not every day, maybe every other day at work, I enjoy scrolling through, not through other folks' profiles per se, but going through the feed and seeing what other colleagues of mine at other institutions or friends that I've made over the year at different professional levels, what they're posting about and what they're talking about. And you'll find that oftentimes it's probably things that you're interested in. So it's an opportunity for me to learn about what other folks are talking about in the industry. In my case, I work in higher education. So naturally, a very large proportion of the people that I follow and that follow me on LinkedIn work in higher ed, or because I'm a workforce person, I've worked in career development. I also am connected to a lot of recruiters and people at Fortune 500 companies or nonprofit organizations that have hired students that I've worked with. So I'm always looking at articles that they're posting, topics that they're talking about. Again, it's an opportunity for me in one feed to also learn a little bit about my industry. And that kind of skips over to the next one also, right? Staying informed on industry trends and what's going on the things that interest me. And hopefully you'll build it out so you can stay informed on what interests you. So who you follow as well and what you follow, because you can follow brands and companies, will be very helpful for your own professional development on LinkedIn. I always like to share this with students. 93% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find future employees. You read that right. 93% of recruiters. Now, what does that mean and what does that look like? And I won't spend too much time, but what I will tell you is this, that if and when you apply for jobs and opportunities, especially a lot of bigger organizations, it doesn't take very long for a recruiter or a human resources representative, or quite frankly, any hiring manager, someone that you might have met in your application process, to pull up your name. They can go to Google and punch in your name. And let me tell you, if you have a LinkedIn account, more than likely, LinkedIn, if it's not the first, will be one of your top 3 to 4 to 5 um, on the search engine. That's one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 things that'll pop up there for this person. So keeping up your LinkedIn up to date, keeping it clean, keeping it fresh, and allowing it to say what you want it to say about you is important, because it is an eye for a recruiter to go on there and learn a little bit about you, and also to double check what your application and what your resume may say against what you put on LinkedIn as well. And so I always tell students and I always tell professionals, LinkedIn is a public site. And so everyone has the right to go on your LinkedIn and view your LinkedIn if it's viewable. And they're able to use that to make judgments of candidates. Now, should they or do they? That's a whole other discussion, and it's for debate in terms of labor laws and what have you. But the reality is, and you all know this, especially as users of social media, we all like to go on other people's social media platforms and go on their pages and find out as much as we can about our neighbors and our family and our friends. Know that recruiters do the same thing to find out as much about a potential employee in order to make a good judgment call on whether you're a fit in their organization. So I always like to share that with students. So what is this all? Before we get into the profile, if you've never ever been on LinkedIn, so what I wanted to do is share this image. This is what it looks like. Okay, this is what it could potentially look like when you go on someone else's profile or you go on your profile. So we'll break this down here in a little bit, right? But you see here a clean photo, you have the name, and you have a title underneath, you have a city of where this person is from, and a little bit about them. This is what I call the top third of a LinkedIn profile, which a lot of experts say, especially on your resume, most people are drawn to that upper third of your resume or upper third of any profile page, because that's the first thing that they see. So it's important that you keep that up to date, that you keep it also very professional. And so we'll talk about what that should look like. But I wanted to share this so as I go through the next slides, you know what I'm talking about, because we're going to talk about building up the first tier of your profile on LinkedIn. So creating an effective LinkedIn profile. I always say it starts with a good photo. And so if you've been on LinkedIn, if you have one, you might have noticed that there are folks that when you go and you go scroll through some of the people that you're connected with, some people don't have a profile photo on there. You absolutely do not have to have a photo. LinkedIn will allow you to have a profile without a photo. But I can tell you that having a photo will increase your chances that people will connect with you. If you go on anyone's page that doesn't have a photo and you compare it to someone that does have a photo, I always ask students this when we're in a class setting. I say, well, what photo looks more inviting? What person looks more inviting in someone that you want to connect with? The person with the photo or the person that just kind of, there's nothing there, just a blank circle there at the corner. Obviously, when you can see the person, that's something that's more inviting. And so I always tell students, make sure you have a photo, make sure that it is clean, it has a simple background, right? Make sure that it's not fuzzy and that it shows your face very clearly. It's when you're smiling versus if you're not smiling, because it'll just make you look more approachable and someone that someone else wants to connect with. Making eye contact, even though you're not looking at someone when you're taking that photo, perhaps you all know that you can still make eye contact through a photo. And when you stare at that photo, is that person smiling and looking at you, right? You want to avoid using selfies and any kind of big group photos. You want it to be a headshot. You want it to be just about you, kind of in the same square space where you see right now, maybe right above your chest and above your head, and give some space. You want to make sure that that's kind of the profile photo that you're giving folks, that you're posting on your page, and that it's very clear. Now, phones nowadays are very, very, you take amazing photos now, so you don't have to have a professional headshot, even though some of the articles out there will say, well, get a professional headshot for your LinkedIn profile. We can't all afford that, and sometimes we just don't have the time to go do that. So you can still have a very professional looking photo if you dress appropriately, you have a smile, you're looking straight at the camera, have someone take it for you. Make sure the lighting is okay. You have proper lighting in a room, you have a good photo. You don't have to stress out about it and find someone else to take that photo for you necessarily in a professional studio, I should say. Make sure it's cropped and framed properly, right? And then you edit it if you'd like to, so that again, it really pops and it shows through. So that's the first step with creating your profile page, having a photo. Your headline is that piece that I showed you right before your photo on the LinkedIn page. And again, we'll go to a LinkedIn page right now and we'll put it together. But your headline is the place where you want to showcase really what your specialty is. You're telling someone in your headline, this is what I'm good at, or this is what I'm passionate about, or this is what I want to do. or this is what I currently do. Your headline will be fluid. And when I say that, it'll look one way if you are someone that's right out of high school and you're just building your LinkedIn and you're starting college, or if you're 10 or 20 or 30 years into your profession and you're looking to change jobs or change careers. Again, those things are fluid. And so you can always change your headline, right? So your headline's about where do you stand now, right? You want to define your professional identity. And I love that phrase, professional identity, because that's what this is about, right? You want to make sure that you're using keywords. And so what do I mean by that? Let's assume if you're a biology student and you're studying biology, and that is your full-time job, you're a full-time student at a college, and you want people to look at you for your biology skills and what you're learning in school. So you have to make sure that that's a key phrase that's in your headline. In fact, you could say second year biology student, first year biology student, or just biology student. That's something that I would want to see, and I'll tell you why in a little bit as you're moving along in your education. You want to talk about what is your value proposition. So what value do you bring to a potential employer in an internship or a part-time job or a volunteer opportunity? And also, what do you value as well could be something that can be on your headline. Want to keep it concise and brief, and you want to stay away from phrases such as seeking new opportunities. I've seen plenty of profiles where people are sometimes in between jobs, or they just lost their job, or they're looking for a new job opportunity. So they say seeking new opportunities on their headline. I'm not a big fan, and a lot of the articles out there talk about that, to kind of steer away from that and really tailor it more to the audience that you're trying to speak to. Again, going to the biology student example, if you're trying to attract STEM careers and people in STEM, then that's how you would want to tailor your headline. Here's a few examples of a headline, right? And these are some that I drum up here. And so in a headline, your first bullet point you see up there could say driven marketing major. So if you're a student who's studying marketing, you can say you're a driven marketing major, eager to apply digital marketing skills in real world settings, right? You have a computer science student, aspiring software developer with a focus on AI and machine learning. I really like that one, by the way. I actually like the second one really because it tells me exactly what this person is looking for. And if I am a employer, or I am a professor, or I'm someone in your network, if I look you up, this tells me exactly who you are, right? Computer science student, you want to be a software developer, and you want to focus in AI and machine learning. Boom. I already know a lot about you just in those few words. Economics student, data analysis enthusiast, ready to tackle financial challenges, aspiring graphic designer, skilled in Adobe Creative Suite, seeking internship opportunities. That one's okay. I think if you're a student and you're looking for internship opportunities, I think it's very specific. I think it's okay to have that on your headline. Public relations major, passionate about media relations, right? You also have environmental science student dedicated to sustainability initiatives. Now, I was looking up headlines that were focused for current students. So that's why you'll see a lot of seeking internship in or looking for an internship. But again, depending on where you are in your career and how much experience you bring to the table, you want to tailor this headline to you. So the next section, if you recall, after you get from the photo and then you move from your headline, you have a summary section, right? And the summary section, that's the one where people get stuck on because that one takes a little bit more time. That requires that you'll have to type something up, get a little bit creative, and write a paragraph. And this is an opportunity for you to tell your story, to be not so much in a bullet points style or having key phrases you're throwing out there, but really to tell the world, who are you? I'm a student. I'm majoring in a certain area. I have work experience in this area. I'm really passionate in X, Y, and Z, and I'm looking to do ABC, right? You want to highlight your skills, your achievements. You're telling me what you're good at. You're telling me what you're interested in. You're telling me what you're doing right now, and you're incorporating those keywords. But most importantly, I remind everyone, make sure that you're authentic and conversational. Don't stress out about your summary. The reality of it is most people will probably just skim through it. So don't spend days putting together a summary, because I know that I've worked with students who stress out about that portion. Make it authentic, make it about you. And if you tell a good, concise story, you'll see that it's very inviting. Okay, so I promise you, what does that look like? I'm going to show you a few examples. So here we have, right, the photo. We have Mr. Jabari Baker, and he's telling us master's student at Clemson University, digital production arts. He's a game designer and programmer, software engineer. These are things that he's interested in, or professions, occupations that he's been employed at in the past, right? But immediately you know something about him. You know what he can do, and you know if this is someone that you want to connect with for any reason. And then the about section there, that's the summary section. Some call it the summary or the about section. And that's where I was talking about that you can add a narrative. And I'm not going to read his entire summary, but if you want to skim through that, he tells you immediately, I am a graduate MFA student of the Digital Production Arts Department at Clemson. Boom. Very simple, right? This could easily read, I am a second year biology student at El Camino College. I am a journalism student at El Camino College. I am a transfer student from El Camino College, now majoring in business at Cal State Dominguez Hills. You're immediately telling someone who you are, right? If that's how you want to identify. Some people have a full-time job or a part-time job while they're going to school, and it's more important for them to tell people what they're doing in their profession. So maybe they'll hide the education a little bit more, and they'll start off with, I'm a graphic designer, right? I'm a biologist, and then you talk about your education. So different ways that you can arrange your summary section there. Another quick example here by this person. This person is a human resources major, Indiana University. They kept it very simple, right? So you know what this person is studying. And as you can see from the first person, the second photos, right? They're both clear. They're both looking at the camera, right? And so that's what you want on a photo. And then if you skim through her about section, she makes a little bit more of a narrative. She says, coming into Indiana University from the East Coast, I believe I had it figured it out. I had it all figured out. I came in headstrong with my majors and minors scheduled up on my semester. Quickly, I realized through my involvement with IU Dance Marathon, what drives me most is making an impact of others. And she goes on with that. That's a very nice narrative. Again, be authentic with this section. I think it's an opportunity for you to tell folks who you are. And then finally, we have here Samantha, right, who's a marketing graduate, Miami University. Again, right to the point. And you have her narrative about herself. I'm a recent graduate of Miami's marketing program at Farmer School of Business. And then she goes on and on. In the second paragraph, I'm passionate for brand design and have extensive experience in virtual merchandising, human resources, et cetera, et cetera. Again, headlines can change as you move on, as you graduate, as you find new work, as you take on other opportunities. And so can your summary as well as you build out your career, even starting now at El Camino. Okay, so I think this is my last slide before I move on to, then I pull up LinkedIn itself, and then we go through some profiles so I can show you some examples of a full profile. So that's the top section that we just looked at. So if you broke it up into that first tier, which is your photo, your profile photo, your headline, and your summary. Once you have that complete, you're moving to completing the nuts and bolts of your profile, which is kind of like completing a resume, by the way. So I always tell students, if you have a resume, you're pretty much halfway there already with your LinkedIn profile. So you could start with a resume first and then transfer much of that over to your LinkedIn. But on your profile, you're including your education, right? Pretty self-explanatory. You're including your school, your major, and your degree. If you're undecided, because I have students, that's the first question. I go, what if I don't know my major yet or I'm undecided? Honestly, I'll tell students, pick one. And what I mean by that is it's better to have a major up there or two majors that you're interested in. So that way that potential employers or other people in your El Camino Community College in your community already begin to build an idea of your interests, right? And so I think that's important to have that up there. And they could always change. LinkedIn is not a legal document, so you can change LinkedIn at any point. And the beauty of it is, even though folks, by and large, are very ethical on LinkedIn and they tend to really portray who they are, no one really regulates what you put on LinkedIn per se, right? So you want to be your authentic self, but feel free to be creative and feel free to have that fluidity to change things up whenever you can. You want to list your clubs that you're a part of and any awards that you've earned. So this is an opportunity for you to brag about yourself, right? For you to talk about any volunteerism on campus, any clubs that you are a part of on campus, whether you're a leader on that club or whether you're a member of the club, any awards that you've earned. This is where we want to see what you've done outside the classroom as well. And as we know, employers are always very interested in knowing what you're doing outside of the classroom as well. Projects. I'm a huge fan of adding projects on your resume, especially if you're a current student or someone that doesn't have a lot of work experience, because you can talk about your projects to anyone. And so I think having your school projects are important on your LinkedIn profile. And high school. I always get that question about when should high school come off? I have students that have had a LinkedIn page since early in high school. And what I tell them is it can come off once you're in college. Because once someone knows that you are an El Camino College student, the assumption is that you have earned a high school diploma or a GED. So your high school at that point doesn't necessarily become super relevant. There are some cases where I will recommend students to keep their high school if there's something that stands out that is very unique about their high school experience, especially in their first year or two in school. And so we can talk to you about that at the Career Center if it's something that's of value for your LinkedIn profile or your resume for that matter. Your experience, you'll get into your relevant work, internships, projects. Now, I get this question a lot by students who will ask me, well, what if I've never had a job before, right? I'm a student. That's been my job. And that's exactly what I'll tell students. If you're a full-time student or a part-time student, if that's your job, that is your job. And as I'm sure professors would agree with me, that could be a full-time job just in and of itself. And employers know that. So that's why the headline is important, to let folks know that you are a current student. Because when you go down to your experience section, if you don't have work experience per se, what you can add are projects that you've worked on, things that you've worked on campus that you can add and that you can talk to somebody that would add value to someone if you were to apply for an internship opportunity. You want to make sure that you're using action words, very similar to the way you do on a resume on your experience section in LinkedIn, and you're always including volunteer experiences. So if you're volunteering at your local church, if you're volunteering at a daycare center, if you're volunteering, I have friends that have volunteered over the last 4 or 5 days, starting Saturday all the way through the election day. They were volunteering at the polls, and they spent several hours doing that, several days doing that, leading up to election day on Tuesday. I would want to see that on your resume as well, right? It tells me that you know how to work with others. It tells me that you're building team. And so those are the kinds of experiences I want to see on your LinkedIn. And then finally, before we go into and check out some profiles, your skills section. And so this is an opportunity for you to build out what exactly are you really strong at. If you have technical skills, this is where I want to see them. Specific skills to specific industries, to what you're interested in, what tools are necessary, whether they're digital tools or physical tools or soft skills that you use that are still tools in your industry that others would understand if they were in your career pathway, in your major, or in your industry. All right. So I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to don't worry. I'm going to stop sharing here for a second because I'm going to switch screens, and I want to explore some LinkedIn profiles, if we may. And while I do that, just to ask the question, I think we're still. If I'm correct, I think we're going to wait till after the presentation to take questions and answer questions. Is that correct?
That sounds great. We don't have any questions yet. I was just making some comments to the audience, but if you do have something that pops in your head, feel free to throw that in the Q&A box.
Perfect. Okay. And so now's the time. If you have any questions, things that you're thinking about that you want to ask, feel free to please put them on there. Okay, so here we go. And I'm going to pull up a profile before I share my screen again here. And we'll do that. Here we go. All right. And so let me. All right. Bear with me here for a sec. I'm going to do that. And here we go. Okay. So you should see a screen here. And we're looking at Catherine Katie Nunez. That is a profile that's a former colleague of mine who now works at USC. And she is okay with us borrowing her page, so to speak. Again, it is a public page, but she's done a very good job with her page. So I figured let me use this as we walk through it. And so Katie is in career services at USC, right? And so she chose in this banner photo back here to put the USC Marshall School of Business, because that's what she works, and she's very proud of that. So she wanted to use that as her banner. You could do the same, or you could have a very different banner. You can have a different image up there. She has her name on there, and she goes by Katie. Her name is Catherine, but she wants folks to call her Katie. So this is a great place where definitely you are allowed, as I said, to really tell folks how you want to be referenced as. And so she made sure that she put in quotations that she's Katie. And she also put she, her, and Aya, so folks know how she identifies. And then this is her headline. She's a career and professional development, mentoring programs, assessment and evaluation. Those are the key skills that she's strong at, and that's what she chose that she wants to have on her headline, because that's what she wants people to know her as. And those are her skill sets. When I scroll down to her page here, this is her about section, right? This is her summary about herself. And she writes, Katie is a career professional development expert with over 17 years of experience in higher education. And she goes on to talk about her experience in higher education working with students. I will highlight 17 years. I'm a big fan of having numbers. I think numbers are great on a resume. Numbers are great on your LinkedIn profile. It helps tell a story, but it also helps quantify something, right? In this case, she wants people to know I have a lot of work experience, right? I'm someone with a lot of credibility and I know what I'm talking about in this field of career and professional development. And that's why I'm going to let you know that I have 17 years of experience, right? So, whatever that translates in what you do or what you know how to do, just know that anytime that you can quantify that, it's very key. And employers and recruiters do appreciate that as they're going through LinkedIn profiles or a resume. And it doesn't have to be years of experience. Let's assume that you worked in car sales and you work at a dealership and you sell vehicles. I would probably want to know, as an employer who might be interested in hiring you for sales, I would want to know how much you've sold. I may want to know how many vehicles you sold a month or how much money in total, what kind of revenue, how much revenue you brought to the car dealership, right? If you own your own business, and I'm sure there's some of you there who are very entrepreneurial, as you have your own business and develop your own business, one, I want to know that you're entrepreneurial. I want to see that on your profile. I want you to tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial endeavors. And if you've already launched something, you've had some success, I'd like to see some numbers, right? I'd like to know a little bit about your engagement with people. Maybe you've been engaging with potential customers on social media. Maybe you do road shows and you set up and you engage with hundreds of people on a weekend. That's the kind of data that I would want to see on your profile as well. Okay. And then, of course, she personalizes it to here in her last paragraph where she says that she loves to travel and that she's traveled to 43 states, 35 countries, and 6 continents. And so, which is kind of cool. Tells you something about someone, right? A little bit of a very humanistic touch there, which I'm a fan of on these pages. The activity
Jason,
section,
can I ask a question on that specific note?
please.
Where's the line in terms of professional and personal? Because there is a little personal information there, but it's not too personal. Where is that? How do you direct students and community members to share a little insight, but not too much?
Yeah, that's perfectly said. And it's a great question because I think, especially now, and those of us who've been on LinkedIn for a long time, like I have, we've seen LinkedIn transition where it was super hyper professional, right? And very, very buttoned up many, many moons ago. And over the last 4 or 5 years, it's shifted to where now it's a blend of professional, but folks are sharing quite a bit about themselves on LinkedIn as times have changed, right? And people are being very open. And that's okay. But I think it's a great question. I will say on your profile, I am perfectly okay with what Katie showed here, where she's telling us that she likes to travel. Why am I okay with that? I think it's a very safe topic. I think it's something that, let me say this, I would avoid sharing anything on your LinkedIn profile that does not does not speak does not put your best self in front of a potential employer, of a professor or a colleague, or in the circle and the network that you're trying to build. So I know that's vague, but what do I mean by that? Because when I've talked to students and I've coached students, I say, look, my reminder to you, right? Whatever photo you choose and what you put on your resume, but especially on LinkedIn or your social profile or your online profile in general, make sure that it says what you want it to say. And if that's what you're comfortable with, what it says to the world, because I've had some students say, well, I want to be very, very true to myself, and I'm going to be very vocal about who I am and what my beliefs are, my personal beliefs, and I want that on my profile page. I will say completely okay. You can go ahead and do that, but let's talk about what others might how that may be perceived in certain spaces. So then I would walk you through. I would say, okay, well, what kind of career are you pursuing? Well, I'm pursuing. I'd like to get into education. I want to be a K through 12 teacher. Okay, and then we want to talk about, is it talking to that profession? Is it talking to teachers, to principals, to people in that industry? Do we feel that what the message that you're sending is going to be someone that they would want to work with? If you want to go into entertainment or you want to work in sports, it's a different audience, right? And so then the personal stuff that you share and what you share, you want to make sure that that audience is going to be okay and not going to be put off or scratch their head a little bit because you share certain things. But more specifically, what I would not share what your marital status. I would not share, whether you have children or how many children, if you're a parent or not. And again, it goes back to the question of, what employers should ask and what they need to know and what they don't need to know about your personal life. that they can make a judgment on whether or not they want to hire you. And yes, we all know that technically employers are not allowed to ask certain questions, and they're not allowed to dismiss a candidate based on a number of things, right? One would be, like I said, whether you're a parent or not. But that doesn't mean that if you don't share that, if you share that information publicly, again, we're all human, it sticks in their head. And there's certain things that people may have a bias about. And so that goes into a whole nother conversation, but I think it's a wonderful question because I do get asked that almost every time we have a conversation about your online image. So now it's not even just about LinkedIn. This is about your total online image. What may be on YouTube, what may be if I Google your name. And like I said, if you Googled my name, I guarantee a LinkedIn pops up immediately right on your first page. You can try it right now and you'll see it. That's something I need to be aware of. And I need to be aware of that if the people in my circle click on that, whatever's on there is saying what I want it to say about me. And if it doesn't, then that's something that I need to go back and work with someone, right, to perhaps make those changes. So I hope that helps. I think that helps. And my answer to most students and people I've worked with has been, come talk to us, see a career services professional. This is part of what we do. We have a career services office, and we can sit down with you on a one-on-one basis and take a look at your profile and have that conversation to make sure that we're comfortable with whatever this page says about you is exactly what you wanted to say. I hope that's helpful. Going through here, if you're first time seeing a page activity, you're probably thinking, okay, so what is activity? This shows me, it shows whoever's on your page, things that you've recently have reposted, comments you may have made at other pages. Now, this is actually a really good transition on the question we just got, we got from you, Melissa, because when we talk about what you want your page to say about you, keep in mind that as you are commenting and you are posting articles and you are posting things on LinkedIn, people land on your page, they'll be able to see your recent activity and what you've been talking about, right? I've had some colleagues that I've worked at other higher ed institutions who over the years have become very vocal on LinkedIn in a very negative way about prior institutions that they've worked at. I've even seen people use this platform to use it as a way to critique their current employer, and their current institution that they work at. Not something I would recommend in a professional setting, but definitely not something that I can censor or anybody can censor, right? You do have the right to say, do how we will within LinkedIn's guidelines, right? Whether as long as it is appropriate, it is a PG site. But outside of that, you can share those feelings and those comments you may have about things that are happening in the world, things that are happening in industry, or things that are happening to you in your workplace. And believe it or not, I've seen folks use this for that. I wouldn't recommend it because I also have seen on the back end what that can do to someone's career as others are watching, as you're seeing things unfold and exposing a little too much about your feelings about an employer, and it could damage your relationship not just with that employer, but perhaps with someone else who may be thinking of wanting to work with you. They may be a little bit apprehensive about it because they could say, well, I don't know if I want to work with that person because look how vocal they're being about the relationship they have now with the employer they have, right? So again, what does it say about you, right? Making sure that your online presence is saying what you want it to say. Going to the experience section here, as you can see, this person, she works for USC Marshall School of Business. It has her place of employment, how many years she's been there. She's had a couple different jobs. She's an adjunct professor there part-time. Okay. But what I wanted to spend some time, because I know I talked about, these are things that you see on your resume or someone's resume, job titles, all of that, is more so this. If I click on see more, which she's done a really strong job, and this takes some time, but I'm a big advocate of this, is really spend some time building out, telling people, what did you accomplish? In each of these jobs, in each of these roles, at each school that you attended, what did you accomplish when you were there? And that's what I would start out, even on a separate sheet of paper. You pull up another Google Doc, and you start typing out what you accomplished first before you slap it on your LinkedIn page. What she's accomplished is right here: successfully led and taught an asynchronous internship course, accurately provided feedback and information to the class while facilitating and grading reflective assignments. If you've noticed, she starts with what? Action words, right? I'm actually not really on this one here accurately. I probably would have said provided feedback, would have been stronger. So she didn't start with action words there. But here on her second one here, where she's an associate director, She said led CAP mentorship program. Those are the kind of action words I like to see. Guide or guided or supported professionals, right? But she's telling us exactly what she's accomplished. And look at that. So if I go through her page, she has numbers, she has percentages. She's telling me the name of the program, what she did, managed the collection and review of CAP EOY Mentor, effectively led a 500 plus in-person virtual program, improved the mentor gender disparity by 3% in one academic year. I mean, she's quantified her results too, right? So we may not all be there at that point, but this is important because as you go through different projects and different job opportunities, making sure that you jot down your accomplishments and then you take inventory of what you've accomplished is important, and you see why. It's always hard to go back and remember what you did. So it's always great to document that on the spot. Recruit, onboard, and train supervisor, career advisor position, ensuring that these colleagues, I think it's, has all the necessary tools and resources, typos. Again, you see we're catching spelling errors and we're catching typos here. So again, this is a great opportunity to say, always go back and make sure you read what you're putting together. But she's done a nice job of telling us in each of these roles what she's accomplished, what she's done there, right? So it builds a good profile. It's not just assistant director, I've worked at this place, and here are my dates, right? They're telling you exactly what they did. Very similar to how you would do on a resume.
Another question for you, Jason, is how do you know who you should reach out to? If you're a student at El Camino, if you're a transfer student thinking of going into a business program at Cal State LA, and you're thinking of pursuing economics, accounting, finance, who should I be searching at?
Great question. So that takes me, I'm going to transition to my next topic. So let's assume you've built out your profile, right? You have your profile, you've done all that stuff already. Then the next step is, just as you mentioned, who do I reach out to? Who do I start talking to? So one tool that I definitely did not want to log off today without showing everyone is the alumni tool within your own college. I'm going to assume everyone on here is an El Camino college student, so we're going to use El Camino. But you may have gone to other schools as well in the past, or as you mentioned, you may want to attend Cal State Dominguez Hills or Cal State Long Beach, and you may want to reach out to folks from there. If you were to look up any school, every college or university in the nation has an official page. So if you type in El Camino, which I have already in the past, and I click on that, you're going to get this. It'll say El Camino. This is the official El Camino college page. You're going to click on the college. When you click on the college, this is the official LinkedIn page for the college, okay? Now, this is the tab where I would want you to spend most of your time, where it says alumni. So to answer your question about who should I reach out to, I would reach out to alumni. Now, when you click on this here that says alumni, it'll tell you there are 49,168 alumni in LinkedIn. Now, I will preface by saying that they're not all alumni. What LinkedIn does is anyone that has El Camino College on their profile, they will label as an alumnus or alumna based on whether you work there, whether you go to school there, whether you used to work there or used to go to school there. But if it's on your profile in some capacity, it will label you as an alumni, which is great, I think, because it just expands your network. Look, there are almost 50,000 people here that you can connect with. And the cool thing about this tool when you go through here is that the tool will tell you where they work, right? So the top employer, obviously, is El Camino College, 397 people that have El Camino College on their in their profile. But let's do this. Northrop Grumman. So perhaps you're interested in aerospace. If I click on this here, what this does now, it'll take me to 310 people that are employed or were employed at Northrop Grumman and also attended El Camino College. So if you wanted to connect with someone at Northrop Grumman, and we do have students that have interned there or have gone through the pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship program, you may want to go through this page and find folks that you may want to connect with. So let's say, Yesenia Orozco, engineering student at El Camino College. If I click on her page here, and she's telling me what she is. She's an engineering student, so great. Perhaps you're an engineering student as well, so you may want to connect with her. You've never met her. So I scroll down here. She currently is working as a mechanical technician at Northrop Grumman. She had a summer internship, June 23 to March 24, right? Last year into this year, that I'm assuming led her to this full-time job at Northrop. And she's a student at El Camino. So if you're on this webinar right now and you're interested in STEM careers within aerospace, this is probably someone that I would talk to and I would connect with. So what happens? I'm going to show you how that would work. I'm not connected with Yesenia. Otherwise, it would tell me in this space here, it would not say connect. So in this space here, I would click on connect. Now, before you leave this next pop-up window here, it says add a note or send without a note. If I've met this person, perhaps I met them today in the hallway, we had a conversation, now I want to connect with them on LinkedIn, I probably will just send without a note because they'll probably recognize my face or my name because we've met. But in this case, I've never met Yesenia, and let's assume you haven't met this person. You're trying to network. Then I'm going to click on add a note. And in this space here is where you can send a personalized note. Now, LinkedIn will only allow you to send out 5 personalized invitations, or it says I have 5 remaining, so maybe 6 or so. Could be more. I don't know if I've sent a few this month or not. I don't think I've sent many, but there is a limit to what LinkedIn will let you send in terms of what I call a cold outreach, right? I'm not going to send this, but if I were going to, hello, Yesenia, right? And it tells me how many characters I have left. So it doesn't allow for a very long message. Okay. So when I finish my message, I hit send. What's going to happen is she's then going to get either an email if it's going to her email, or she'll see it on her LinkedIn account that Jason Barquero has reached out to her and has invited her to connect on LinkedIn. When she clicks on that, she's going to see a message. So it's not just this, who's this Jason guy trying to connect with me? It'll say something about myself. You want to introduce yourself. If you're a student, tell them that. In this case, I would say, hello, Yesenia. I'm the Dean of Career Programs here at El Camino College. I would love to connect with you to learn more about your experience as an engineering student here at El Camino College. Or I am an engineering student as well. Or I am a business student, but interested in possibly switching to a career in aerospace. Would you have some time to connect to talk a little bit about how you enjoy working at Northrop Grumman? Okay. So you want to have a very inviting message so that they know, who are you? Why are you connecting with me? Not just a hello, but let them know who you are, why you're connecting with them. And I think that helps people understand and then to accept your connection invitation. Once you're connected with people, you can send messages to them, okay, by clicking this message button. It doesn't allow me to send message to her because I'm not connected. Now, they do have premium accounts and other accounts that you can pay for where you get access to certain things. For instance, if I pay a premium account, I can message as many people as I want without even being connected to them, right? So there are things that you can pay for. But I don't think they necessarily need to do that. I've never have. Perhaps if you're in a certain profession where you need to connect with people, like in sales, and you need to spam people, then maybe that might be worth to someone. But in our situation, using the free version, the open version, everyone is fine. So that's an example of how, and I've spent a lot of time with this, to be honest with you. When I've sat down with students and have coached them on networking, we'll go through this and we'll talk about, okay, well, let's talk about what are you looking for? So, so if you not interested in Northrop Grumman, but perhaps I want to see if there's anyone that works at Disney. So I would just type in Disney, hit enter, and see what it does. It says there are 261 people with El Camino College and Disney in their profile. And here we go, right? So I'm going to pick this first person just for kicks and see what, Priscilla Santoli is an executive assistant to the president and chief creative officer at Walt Disney Imagineering. That's a pretty cool gig. Scrolling down her page, but I want to go down to see if she went to El Camino, if that's why and she did. She went to El Camino from 2012 to 2016, and then she transferred on. She's an alum. If you're interested in working at Disney, this is someone I would want to connect with, right? So you go through her profile page and you learn a little bit about what she did. She's worked in entertainment, so just judging by her profile, she's probably someone who's always wanted to work at entertainment because that has been her career. Sony, Cinema Giants, working film and television, right? And now at Walt Disney Imagineering. So LinkedIn is an amazing tool to find out who you want to reach out to and who you want to talk to for mentorship opportunities. But really, as we said at the beginning of the presentation, to begin to build that social capital, right? To begin to build that network outside of El Camino.
Hey, Jason.
Sure.
Can I just add 2 thoughts? One
Please.
is, I want students in our community to be aware that there are lurkers. So there are people, this is not completely 100% safe. This is the public. So if there's someone that tries to connect with you that doesn't make sense, you don't know who they are, you didn't meet them, there are some sales type outreach that happens or things that don't make sense. You don't have to connect with each and every person. So just use common sense in that way. I'm sure students have that experience on all the other social media apps. It is also true of LinkedIn as well. Use your common sense. And you don't have to connect, and I don't connect with every single person that sends me a message. The other one is, sometimes some of our students, especially in the business program, want to connect with people that can help them as they develop their business. So it may be a professional connection as far as a job opportunity internship, but you also may find that this tool is incredibly helpful in finding people that can mentor you and advise you as you think about developing a side gig or something more significant as you're building out a new venture concept. For example, if you need someone to help you with your social media advertising, maybe you're not an expert in Canva and you need someone to do some of that for you. Perhaps they'll even offer you free services or trade because you know something that they would like help with. So it can be used in other ways, even if we go into the direction of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And a couple of things I'll say about the points you made, starting with the last one is, and again, we can do. I've done this in a 2-3 part series because we can really go deep into it. But the neat thing is, you can join groups on campus. You can join groups here on LinkedIn for entrepreneurs or people that are interested in what you're interested in. Right? If you're in the restaurant, food, and beverage business, I'm sure there are dozens, if not hundreds, of pages that folks have started in places where you can connect with others, just like you can connect here through people at El Camino College. And that's why when we talk about safeguards, I always like students to start here because I think it's been the safest space when you connect with people that you have something in common with, especially something like a college and you're an alum or you're a student of that college, you share that alma mater, people will feel safer to want to connect with you. And even then, there's still some safeguards, right? All the reason why I say having a photo, right? If I look at this and I say, do I want to connect with Asha or Aisha Swan or Greg F? Well, why does Greg F not have a photo? And so I guarantee you, and there's a lot of research about that. Greg is probably not going to get as many folks to reach out or to respond to his outreach when he reaches out to other people because there's no photo there, right? Not to say that people can't just drop fake photos. I don't know that this isn't what Asha Swan looks like, right? But nowadays you can go online, you can Google just about anyone, and you can start to do a little research on your own. And another point to something to add to what Professor just mentioned, I'm going to show you my own messaging here. She's absolutely right. I get these sponsored things from like this gentleman named Jacob Bray here. Never met this person. This is spam. They're trying to sell me something. If I go down this list of DMs that I received, some of these folks are people I know, but some of them, like this one here, this one here, this one, these here in blue, these are all folks trying to sell me something. So absolutely, right? You need to be able to decipher what could be safe and what isn't. But I always tell students you can take that work and just talk to your professor, talk to one of us, come to the career services and say, hey, does this look right to you? I'm not comfortable with this. And we can walk you through that if it's something that you think doesn't feel right. And on the flip side, if you need help connecting with folks on how to build out your page, but how to write an appropriate message, how to respond to a professional, how to connect with people, we're here to do that too as well. So I know we're up against the clock and
Thank you, Jason. Maybe we do need to do another session of LinkedIn part 2 because there's a lot of valuable information here that I don't think we have time to get to in the first hour. So maybe that's an excellent idea. Just want to remind everyone that our next session is going to be on Tuesday already. Monday is a campus holiday to honor our veterans. And 1 o'clock on Tuesday, That would be November 14th. We're going to have the owner from a salon called Bliss on Broadway. The salon, you can look her up on LinkedIn. Her name is Kelly Sullivan, and she's going to join us. If you're not into the salon space as far as a business concept, that's okay, because it's not just salon. Kelly bought the business. She's not a nail tech. She's not a hair person. She purchased the business and she manages it and runs it. And so she's a great example to look at as far as different skills other than that specific trade. So if you're not into the salon space and that's not an area you're going into, no problem. But if you want to learn how to purchase and run a business, this may also be the session for you. So that's coming up on Tuesday. You froze there for a minute, Jason, but I wanted to ask if you had any concluding remarks.
Yeah, apologies for that. My laptop ran out of power, so I quickly powered back on, and I got so into my conversation I forgot to. But I'm glad I plugged back in. Well, before I do that, I'm not sure if there were any questions or not. I'm happy to answer those. But if I think the concluding remarks, what I would say with LinkedIn, I have found the most success in working with students on LinkedIn by reaching out and building the network within their own campus community, starting there with other alumni, people that you have that shared experience. Maybe if you're looking to transfer to a certain university, I say feel free to use this tool to be able to connect with people in a very professional manner. I'll use this last moment to just have a quick cheap plug for the Career Services Office. A lot of students and even our own staff and faculty may not know that we actually can help students with this as well. So we do more than just the resumes or what have you. We can help you build out your LinkedIn. I don't expect anyone to be an expert or have built in their LinkedIn in the time that we were together today. So what you do, if you go to our career services page, you can make an appointment with us there, or you can visit us actually in that building right behind, right across the grass there behind Professor's head there. That's the Career Center right there, right above the other way. There you go. There you go, right there. That's the Career Center in that first floor there. Come and see us. You can walk in, and our career advisor or our job placement person can help with that, or myself. I'm happy to meet with anyone to talk about this stuff.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today and your expertise on LinkedIn and sharing this knowledge with our community. I hope to see everybody back on Tuesday for the next session. Have a great afternoon.